Would you still continue with the elections after finding out your opponent has been taking advantage of your daughter while contesting for governorship? Today's story is the ballot and the betrayal. Politics in Nigeria is like a big fight. People smile on posters, but behind the scenes, it is war. Chief Obiora wanted to be the governor of Anambra State. He was rich, respected, and always talking about honesty and family values. Many people liked him. But there was one problem. His strongest enemy, Alhaji Suleiman. Suleiman was also very powerful. He had plenty of money, big friends in Abuja, and a smooth way of talking that made people trust him. Both men wanted the same seat, and both were ready to fight for it. On stage, they shook hands and smiled. But inside, they hated each other. Chief Obiora had one daughter, Adiz. She was young, beautiful, and smart. She studied in London and came back to help her father's campaign. She made videos, wrote posts, and knew how to get people talking online. But Adiz was tired. She wanted to live her own life, not just follow her father everywhere. Then, she met Suleiman. It happened at a debate in Abuja. Adiz went out to get water during a break. Suddenly, she bumped into a tall man in white clothes. "Careful," the man said with a smile. "You almost knocked me down." She looked up. It was her father's rival, Suleiman. Adiz froze. She knew she should walk away. But Suleiman kept smiling. "I know you," he said. "You are Chief Obiora's daughter, the one who handles his media." Adiz swallowed hard. "I'm not supposed to talk to you." "And yet, here we are," he replied softly. That night, Adiz couldn't stop thinking about his eyes, his voice, his smile. They met again at a fundraiser in Lagos. This time, Suleiman made sure to find her. "You are too smart to be just your father's shadow," he told her. "You deserve your own life." The words touched her heart. Before long, they started meeting secretly. Sometimes in hotels. Sometimes late at night on the phone. Adiz felt alive with him. But she also felt guilty. Suleiman was her father's enemy. She knew it was wrong. Still, she couldn't stop. One evening, a journalist snapped photos of them leaving a hotel together. At first, nobody believed the rumors. But then clearer pictures came out. The headlines spread everywhere. Candidate Suleiman in secret affair with Chief Obiora's daughter. The internet went wild. People laughed, people cursed, and people gossiped. Adiz's face was on every blog. At home, Chief Obiora was furious. "My own daughter," he shouted. "With that man. Do you know what you've done to me? To this family? To my campaign?" Adiz cried, but her father didn't want to hear. To him, it was betrayal. To the world, it was scandal. The election was just weeks away. But now the story was no longer about roads, jobs, or schools. It was about love, lies, and shame. And Adiz was trapped in the middle. The scandal refused to die. Every day, new blogs, newspapers, and TV shows talked about it. Some people said Suleiman was shameless. Others said Chief Obiora had lost control of his own home. But for Adiz, it was worse. On social media, strangers called her names. People at church whispered behind her back. She couldn't even step outside without people staring. Chief Obiora's enemies used the scandal to mock him. How can a man who cannot control his daughter lead a whole state? One rival shouted at a rally. The crowd roared with laughter. Meanwhile, Suleiman's opponents painted him as a man with no morals. If he can betray his rival like this, imagine what he will do to the people if he wins. The election was no longer about policies. It had turned into a battle of insults, gossip, and shame. At night, Adiz cried alone in her room. She loved Suleiman, but she also loved her father. Every time she saw her father's tired, angry face, guilt stabbed her heart. One night, she called Suleiman. "Maybe we should stop," she said quietly. "My family is broken. People are laughing at us." But Suleiman refused. "Adiz, don't let them control you. What we have is real. When this election is over, we will be free." His words comforted her, but also scared her. She didn't know if she could survive the storm. One evening, Chief Obiora called his daughter into his study. His eyes were red with anger. "You will end this nonsense now." He shouted, "You will never see that man again." Adise shook her head. "Papa, I love him." Obiora slammed his fist on the table. "Love? This is not love. This is betrayal. You have disgraced me. Do you even understand what this means for our family? For my campaign?" Tears rolled down Adise's cheeks, but her voice was firm. "I am not a child. You can control your party, your campaign, your people, but you cannot control my heart." The words cut Obiora deeply. For the first time, he realized he was not just fighting an election. He was losing his daughter. At last, the big day came. The whole state was tense. People lined up at polling stations, whispering about the scandal even as they cast their votes. Chief Obiora tried to act confident. He shook hands, smiled for cameras, and promised victory. But inside, he was shaking. Suleiman, on the other hand, walked boldly into the polling station. Cameras flashed. His enemies shouted insults, but he ignored them. Adise's shadow was everywhere around him, though she was hidden away by her father on election day. The counting of votes began that night. Both sides waited nervously. By midnight, it was clear the scandal had damaged both men. Many voters were angry at the drama. Some refused to vote at all. Others switched to a smaller candidate, a quiet man who had stayed away from the mudslinging. When the final results were announced, neither Chief Obiora nor Suleiman won. The seat went to the third candidate. It was a humiliation for both powerful men. Years of planning, millions of naira spent, all destroyed by one forbidden love. In Obiora's mansion, silence filled the rooms. He could not look at his daughter. To him, she was the reason he had lost everything. Suleiman, too, was broken. He lost not only the election, but also his reputation. His supporters began to leave him. And Adise, she sat alone in her room. Her phone buzzing with insults she no longer had the strength to read. She wondered if her love was worth the price she had paid. But one thing was certain, the affair had changed everything. The election was supposed to be about politics, but it ended as a story of love, betrayal, and anger. A story that no one in Anambra would ever forget. The election was over, but the wounds remained. Chief Obiora could not accept defeat. For weeks, he stayed indoors, refusing to meet his friends or party members. He felt humiliated. People whispered that he had lost not because of his opponent's strength, but because of his own daughter's scandal. Everywhere he went, he saw pity in people's eyes. That pity cut him deeper than insults ever could. At home, things were worse. Adise and her father no longer spoke. When their eyes met, anger and disappointment hung heavy in the air. One evening, Adise tried to speak. "Papa," she said softly, "I never wanted to hurt you. I only wanted to live my life." Obiora turned away. His voice was cold. "You did not just hurt me, Adise. You destroyed me." The words struck her heart like a knife. She ran to her room, crying, wondering if her father would ever forgive her. On the other side, Alhaji Suleiman was also facing fire. His supporters felt betrayed. "How could you be so careless?" They asked. "How could you risk everything for a woman, and not just any woman, but your rival's daughter?" Investors pulled away from his businesses. Some party leaders stopped answering his calls. The man who once walked with pride now walked with shame. At night, he called Adise. "My dear, I am sorry. I thought we could have both love and power. But maybe I was wrong." Adise's voice shook. "We have nothing left. You lost the election. I lost my father. And the world hates us both." For the first time, Suleiman had no answer. The people of Anambra moved on quickly. A new governor was sworn in, and everyone began watching the next political drama. But Adise's name never disappeared. At every gathering, people still whispered, "That's the girl who ruined her father's campaign." In churches, pastors preached about her story as a warning. On social media, her pictures became memes. Adise could not escape the shadow of the scandal. Months later, Adise faced a choice. She could run away with Suleiman, leave the country, and start a new life far from Nigeria. Or she could stay and fight to rebuild her father's trust. One night, she stood in front of her father's study door. listening to him cough from stress and anger. Tears filled her eyes. She knew then that she could not leave him. She broke off the relationship with Suleiman. It was the hardest decision she had ever made. When she told him, Suleiman's voice cracked. "So this is the end?" Adiz whispered, "Yes. It has to be." The line went silent. Time passed. Slowly, Chief Obayora began to heal. He never fully forgave his daughter, but the anger in his eyes softened. Adiz, too, carried her pain silently, never again speaking of Suleiman. As for Suleiman, he faded from politics. He spent his days trying to rebuild his businesses, but his dreams of being governor were gone forever. The scandal became a story parents told their children, about how power and desire can destroy even the strongest men. It was a tale of two politicians, a forbidden love, and a betrayal that changed everything. And in the middle of it all was Adiz, the young woman who only wanted love, but found herself at the heart of a storm that swallowed both her father and her lover.